Hey guys, welcome back to our weekly live event on YouTube and IG, answering all of your financial questions on purchasing real estate, taxes, starting up a company, retirement planning, whatever you guys need. I'm more than happy to help. I want to help you guys build your financial future. Hey Steven, how are you? Hope everyone had a great week. Thanks for all the love. I appreciate all the hearts, all the thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I'm sorry I missed you guys this last Sunday. Something came up, but I'm here for you guys, and I'm really hear about I really like hearing about your successes as well. So my week's been great. Thanks for asking. Everything's going really good. Looking at more deals. Been super busy. Just getting taxes done. I lost my assistant, and I lost one of my accountants. So been pretty big in trying to get all these deals done, get these deals put together. Because just because you found a deal doesn't mean it's over. You're gonna buy it. You got to go do due diligence. You got to find out if it's a good deal. So good stuff is coming. And actually, recently I've been hearing a lot of you guys been following my advice, and you guys have been succeeding as well. And I like hearing it. Basically, you guys are succeeding, buying your multi-units like I've been telling you, formatting everything like I've been advising you guys to. So it's been really great seeing you guys succeed as well. So kind of let's jump into it. What questions do you guys have for me this week? All right, what's up, guys? Going through IG, checking through the messages real quick. Awesome. So we got first comment here says, "Hola, compadre. Love your ideas, man. People don't understand what assets are." Good point. They don't. Next comment is, "What type of corporation do you recommend to flip homes?" In Florida, I actually would have found to be best was an LLC with an 1120S election. So tax formation 1120S for legality, good list. That is the $1 billion question, right? How do you get a good list? Getting a good list is not easy. Basically, how are you going to get a list of people you're going to mail and contact? Basically, how do you find people to buy properties from or sell properties to? That is what you basically learn along the way and figure out where in your city, in your area is the good list or the people that are buying. It might not even be lists. It might be local people in your market. So you have to go out there and make friends and meet people to be able to get that answer. Good question, though. All right. Got Steven over here on YouTube. His question is, why do you advise us to buy a multi-unit first? Great question. So, all right, hear this out. So, the first property you buy is the easiest property for you to buy. Okay? After your first property, the minimum down payment is going to be 20%. So if you say, this is the foreign way of thinking, all right? This is the old school way of thinking where a lot of the people that I know, that I grew up with, I wasn't born here either. So all of the old school foreigners think this: buy the cheapest house possible. They don't really kind of see value. A lot of us, or a lot of the people that I've worked with and grew up by, they saw price. A few people saw value. They saw price. So a lot of times they'll buy in the cheapest neighborhoods and don't understand that the appreciation of those neighborhoods is very small. If you buy in a better quality neighborhood, you're going to get better appreciation. But to the point, by buying the cheapest home, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the FHA loans, first-time Federal Housing Administration loans, which is like the first-time home buyer program, which basically says you can put 3.5% down or 5% down on your first deal. So if you're going to buy a $100,000 place and only put down 3.5%, that's $3,500. Closing costs are going to be roughly $3,000 to $5,000. You're in for like $6,500 to $8,500 for your first property, a condo or a home. But why are you going to waste that opportunity for very little down payment if you only got one shot at it. You only have one shot at doing this every 3 years. So, well, why are you going to do that? Go and buy a multi-unit deal. Buy a duplex, triplex, or quadplex. Because when you're doing that, you can take advantage of it. So let's say it's a $400,000 property. 3.5% down is only $14,000. $5,000 in closing costs is going to make it $19,000 total. Bringing together $19,000 is not that hard. It should not be that hard for you, because if it is hard, then you have a bigger problem than buying your first property. Your problem is more of a systemic problem, which is you have a problem with saving, right? So you have to fix that first. You have to be able to get that foundational thing fixed. Now, imagine now you're owning a quadplex. You live on one side, you got 3 people paying you rent. So basically you live for free. It is way easier to now build and grow that way. You're now building and growing because now you're saving, let's just say $1,000 a month. You just saved $12,000 that year because you didn't pay it in rent. You paid it to yourself. So now it's in your bank account. That's awesome. That's ignoring appreciation and inflation of your property, paying down your loans, the tax advantages, just that alone. So that's awesome. Now, after you own one quadplex, maybe 2 quadplexes, then if you want to go and buy a single family home, more conservative one for you guys to live in, that's fine. You know, that they'll be in a position where you can win. Now, guys, it looks like IG is not working out that well, so feel free to jump on YouTube. The connection's a lot better. That is why I advise people to buy a multi-unit first. It is easier to do your first deal. Your first deal is going to actually be the easiest. The hardest deal is actually probably your second deal, your third deal, especially because most people don't do their taxes properly, and that will limit them for buying more deals in the future. All right, great question. We got another question on IG. Do you wholesale? I don't wholesale. What should I do if I am a teenager and have $10,000 to invest in real estate? I would say save up your money more, study more, because you probably are going to do a very conservative deal and probably not buy the best deal at first. So first thing you need to do is study your market. You need to be able to understand what the deals are, and then probably try to find a larger deal, something that's going to be at least 4 units. Then try to get for 4 units, if at minimum 2 units. Now, once you find a good deal, you can get your parents to give you some money. You can maybe find an investor to give you some money. You can probably get a seller's credit to give you more money. So then it'll be more affordable for you to buy a deal, because you'll be like, oh, I only have $10,000. I can't afford a $400,000 place because I don't have enough down payment. You said you need $19,000. Yes, $19,000 is the now down payment amount, but you should have still extra money left over in your savings account in case things come up. So by knowing the rules, you could probably figure out a way to get a seller's credit and different ways to use other little tricks in the real estate game to your advantage. So that's why you need to study your market, and you need to study how the game is played so you can maximize the first shot you have. Great question. All right. All right, guys. So I'm sending your next questions. I want to make sure I give you guys the best. Kevin says, I'm 17 years old. How and when do I start a business? I started working when I was like 11. I started doing flipping things at like 14, probably even as soon as 11, but nothing major till I got a little bit older. And there's nothing going to keep you from learning, right? When you're learning this game, when you're learning investing, there's nothing that's going to keep you from learning and growing. It's all the things that you learned when you were younger that are the things that help you as you get older along the game, right? You're not going to be 18 and, oh, I'm amazing. The people that were 18 or 21 that are doing great right now probably started 5 to 7 years ago. So don't compare yourself the same. So you just need to kind of constantly work on yourself and grow and read books and study and get mentors, and then eventually you're going to get better and better. And so it's not when do I start a business? It's really depends on what you've been studying, what you've been practicing, to then figure out, okay, I'm good at this. Let me start a business because I can make money on it. You shouldn't just start a business to say, I have a business. You should start a business because you found ways to make money. And you started this business because you're going to constantly make money. So there is no such thing as starting a business. It's just you're out there making money because you're doing something people need. Either you're flipping cards or video games, or you're doing a service, you're doing bookkeeping, or accounting, or you're doing pressure washing or lawn maintenance. You're doing something. You don't have to call it a business. You're just out there doing something, making money. Eventually, what happens is you find out that you have a business. You just realize one day you're like, oh, wow, I actually have a pretty big business. I just thought I was cutting grass, and now I have 5 people cutting grass, and I'm making a lot of money. So don't think of, oh, when do I, open a business? So next question we have here is, when do you start paying taxes on a newly acquired vacant property that needs renovations? Well, property, if you're talking about, there's many different types of taxes. So there's property taxes. So property taxes are, you're due annually. So they're due once a year. Now, if you're talking about income taxes are also usually due once a year, depending on the type of business you have. Next question I have here is, what's the best advice to be a successful realtor? To be a successful realtor is, and really the same thing to be a successful investor. You need to know your market. You need to know your market. You need to be able to understand it very well. So when someone's asking you a question, you're able to answer it. And not only answer the question they're asking, but think ahead to see what else is there that I can go and tell this person to make sure that they don't trip up and fall. Because what you want them to do is buy a great and grow. And it's a big word of mouth business as well. You can market, but you're going to spend a ton of money marketing. Eventually, you don't want to have to market. You want people to market for you. Talk about how great you are. Great question. So next question is from Noel is, how do you run the numbers on your deals? So how do I run the numbers on a deal? So when I'm running the numbers on a deal, one, every market that you're looking at, every city that you're looking at, the numbers will change. So there's some properties that right now that I want to buy, but I'll probably buy them at $100 a square foot. Okay. There's other properties that I'm going to be buying for $130 a square foot. Now there's another property down the street that I'm going to buy for $200 a square foot. Now you would say, well, why would you buy property down the street for $200 a square foot? Could be many reasons. It could be the fact that it has more units, so the price per square foot changes per unit. It could be the multiple factors of what I would pay and why I would pay that much money. So you have to know the reasoning, and you're going to run your numbers to figure out how much money you're going to make. What's a property going to cost you? What's it cost to renovate? And how much you're going to make in rent? Or how much you're going to make if you sell it. So when you run those numbers and you analyze the data, you're going to start drawing a picture. And this picture is going to show you, oh, wow, this is a great deal. And you might run the numbers on something and you're like, this is an average deal. And then you might run the numbers and be like, this is a below average deal. Now, again, all of this is considering of the condition of the property, because you're buying something at 200 square foot, that's remodeled. That's actually might be a really good deal. But if you're buying something at 130 a square foot and it needs work, you might be like, wow, that's a bad deal, because I have to then fix it up and spend the money to bring it to this level. Plus, I have time that I'm losing and not getting rent. So at the end of the day, it could be a worse deal, even though it's cheaper. So it's not automatically better because it's cheaper. It's like buying a car. If you're not gonna buy a car at 100,000 miles, the same price you're gonna buy a car at 20,000 miles, because there's a different wear and tear on the property. So it's not automatically. Also with real estate, the difference is they might have 2 cars, one that has 100,000 miles and one that has 120,000 miles. And you're gonna be like, the 120,000 mile car might actually be worth more than the 100,000 mile car, because that one has a new engine, new brakes, new this, new that, has everything new in it. So and because it's been remodeled, right, and has been renovated, it's worth more than this 100,000 mile car. So it's not automatically, hey, the age of the home determines the quality. I actually prefer homes built in 1985 or 1955 because the buildings are built so solid. I just want to make sure, do I have enough money to change the electrical, change the plumbing, change the roof, and change the windows, do those upgrades to the property? If it does, I'd prefer an older property not fixed up for a good price and do all those upgrades myself. It's going to end up being a lot better, in my opinion, in my style of investing for what works for me right now. So, and why did I put all those contingencies, what I just said? Because it works and it wins today, right? Tomorrow it might not win. Tomorrow might be bulldoze the old building and put a brand new one up. It really depends on your market. In my market, I buy in like retro areas, and areas that people really like that retro feel. So I will keep the building, the old building, but I'll renovate everything in it. And I'll put in new electrical. I'll put in Wi-Fi throughout the property, wireless mesh systems. I'll put in the Google Homes. I'll put in all the tech with this like fresh feel, but it still has that like great retro vintage vibe to it. So that way you kind of get the best of everything. So that's why you need to know your market, because in New York, if you have like a condo or a flat in New York, right, you're not going to want to make it, you might not want to make it retro because people might not pay for retro. You might want to make it very sleek, urban, very modern, because that depends on what people are willing to pay for in the resale or in the rent. So just kind of be considerate for that. Great question. So thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Nolan. So I have another question here. Do you have to pay mortgage insurance for an FHA loan throughout the 30 years? I believe you have to pay mortgage insurance through an FHA loan for like 11 years. But normally what's going to happen is you're going to refinance the home in after 2 to 5 years. That's like statistical averages, that between 3 to 7 years, people are refinancing their mortgage or they're selling their home. So don't think you're going to keep a mortgage for 30 years. Almost nobody keeps the mortgage for 30 years. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to buy the home, and yeah, you're going to pay PMI. You're going to pay higher interest when you first buy it with a 3.5% down. But what's going to happen is you're going to constantly upgrade the property. You're going to constantly add value. The property inflation is going to keep happening, so the property value is going to go up. So God willing, if you did your homework and you did your research and you found the right property, in 2 years, the property should have gone up about 20%. And it could probably go up that much in 6 months if you found the right deal and did the right value add. So then when you're doing a refinance, normally you have to wait 6 months to a year to do your refinance for seasoning and for them to go off of the new appraised value. You're then refinancing, and that refinance you're doing is going to show that you are now 80% loan to value. When you do that refi, you'll get a better interest rate, you'll get rid of your PMI, and now you're in a better position. And then after you complete the refinance, you're going to want to go and get a line of credit so you have the ability to access that line of credit so you can use it towards your next deal. All right. Carlos says, Bascal, I love your videos. Great job, brother. Thanks, Carlos. So thank you guys for all the love. Thumbs up if you like what I'm teaching. And please refer your friends to the page. There's a little airplane on the bottom of the IG, and I think there might be one on YouTube as well. Invite your friends to come watch. The more that learns, the better, because you want to make your circle stronger. As long as your circle keeps on getting stronger, everyone's going to get stronger. Everyone's going to get better. So I got some questions here on YouTube. Luke says, hi, Pascal. I'm from South Africa, and duplexes are a rare find. There is more family homes and 1B apartments for sale. Deposits are huge for family homes and seems unreachable for me at 18. Must I save more? Answer is yes, you must save more. At the same time, you also should probably find a mentor where you can go do work for them, because some people have money but don't have time. So if you're willing to say, hey, look, I'll put in the work, partner with me on these deals so we can buy them and rent them. So you're going to have to see about that. And could the option be you buying a smaller property? Yeah, the option could be you buying a smaller property. Just make sure you're buying a smaller property in a good area where you can rent it out. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to buy a small condo and do Airbnb in the condo and then be able to make more money that way. So you have to see how you're going to play the game, you know? Every game is going to be different in every market. And what do you make money for? What are we making money for? We're making money for a specific reason. We're making money because we're finding opportunities to add value in an area that doesn't have something that's needed. For example, if they need more Airbnbs, you get more value. If they need more 3-bedroom homes, you're gonna get a lot of rent for that. So you have to find, what does this area want? Do they want modern? Do they want retro? Do they want a certain color and style? Do they want big backyards? Whatever you're able to find to provide to the market, the more value you're able to provide, the better it's going to work out, the more money you're going to make. So just remember, constantly think of, what can I provide value? How can I give people what they want? And then try to find the things people want. Try to find them, buy them. And they might not be cheap, but just find the best value in that area and then try to add more value to it. Because the property I'm looking to buy that's $200 a square foot, I know I'm going to be able to make it $300 a square foot. Right? Boom. 2,000 square feet at 200 square foot, it's $400,000. I'm going to be able to make it at least $300 a square foot. It's going to be worth $600,000 when I'm done. But and it probably cost me $100,000 to do it, but that's not what I'm looking for, is to sell it to make 100. No, I'm looking to keep it and rent them out because the rents are going to be really, really high and the returns are going to be awesome. That's what I'm looking for. So everything that you buy should have a specific thing way you're going to do it. The way you're going to turn it around and get the most value for it. You should have a beginning and an end of the real estate you're buying. Don't just buy it and just hope. No, but buy it and have a plan. You can hope for 2, 3, 4 other things to happen to benefit you, but don't buy it and hope everything is going to go good. No, just buy it and know something's going to go good and maybe these extra things happen. So for example, I'll give you an example. I'll buy properties that are really, I think, should be commercial land, right? So I'm buying them as residential, renting them out at great rents. And then I'm like, okay, there's a possibility I can ask to be converted to commercial later. And then I was right. The city actually converted it to commercial on their own. I didn't even do it. So it got switched, didn't spend any money, and my property went up in value. So yes, I was winning immediately. I made the money in the buy. And then from there, I actually had other opportunities to get even better. All right. Get Water says, hey, Pascal, I'm 17 and I have found some land worth $4,000. I live in Arizona and homes around there are barely increasing. Should I buy the land and so I can practice with it? No. You should never practice with real money, right? You should not be practicing with real money because you're going to spend $7,000 into this land and it's probably not going to go up in value. And now you have $7,000 stuck that you can't reinvest somewhere else. You could buy $1,000 worth of Apple stock and $1,000 worth of Google. You could buy a lot of things and let it go up in value. If you want to practice, on a piece of paper, say, I bought this house for this much money. And then let time go on and see what would it cost you every year to pay the taxes on the property and insurance on the property. And then in 2 years, see what is a property worth. That is a way to practice, not with your real money. Because if you do it the way you're saying, with your real money, that means you only practice on one property. You didn't even run scenarios on 1,000 other properties. What I did is I ran scenarios on paper, on the computer, for hundreds and hundreds of properties. So by doing that for hundreds of properties, I then was able to gain all that experience immediately. I don't have to wait one property at a time, 1 year at a time, 2 years at a time. No, I ran the scenarios again and again and again on the same area to see what does this area come to? What is the value of this area? And I came to a conclusion of these are what the property is worth in this condition, in this condition, in this condition. What is a condo worth? What is a house worth? What is a duplex, triplex, quadplex worth? I ran those numbers and I saw what the conclusion came to immediately. I didn't have to wait years and years and years to run these scenarios. So that's why you don't really need to use your own money to play. And same thing in the stock market. You can open up accounts where it gives you fake money and you can buy and sell stocks and see how they really perform in real time. So guys, on IG, the connection's not that great. Come on to YouTube. The link to my YouTube is in the bio. Come on and submit your questions. All right. What do you do to know your market in the back of the back of your hand? I run scenarios. I run scenarios and I look at deals all day. I look at deals in areas I don't even buy in. Like I don't buy in St. Pete. I don't buy in Tampa. But if an extremely good deal came up, would I buy? Yes. But normally I don't buy in those areas. So why am I still looking at deals? Because so I know if a deal does come up there, I'll know if it's a deal, right? There's a lower income area. If I go and buy in that lower income area, and I've said, let's say I never looked at the numbers in that area, and all of a sudden someone showed me a deal and be like, hey, this is a deal. And I'm like, wow, a house for $80,000, that's cheap. Because the area I buy, every house is $200,000. So I'm like, wow, $80,000, that's cheap. And I say I bought it. And then I found out, wow, the rent sucks. The tenants I'm renting to don't really have good jobs, so I'm constantly having problems. People don't maintain the area. Maybe there's some drug problem. Maybe there's whatever problem. So now I'm exposed to it and I didn't know. There's a problem. The problem is you are hoping to make money. That's what happened back in 2008. People were not investing. They were speculating, right? Speculating is you're buying something and you hope it goes up. You think it's going to go up. But if I ask you, why is it going to go up? You can't give me real reasons why, like valid reasons why it's going to go up, right? Not market reason and market trends. Oh, well, this and this and this and this is going to happen. And all real estate is going to go up. Okay, well, if all real estate is going to go up, you shouldn't have bought that one. You should buy the one that's specifically going to go up because you know that market's going to go up, right? I'm not teaching you guys to just cheerlead you to, yay, go buy a piece of real estate. No, I'm not telling you to go buy any piece of real estate. I'm telling you buy good real estate so you can make good money. Because if you don't buy good real estate, you're going to lose money, right? I don't know the Chicago market that much, right? If you were going to ask me a year ago, I'd be like, I think Chicago should do good, right? Because New York is on fire, LA's on fire, Chicago should be on fire, like awesome deal, awesome money, probably like people who have invested there is probably making a ton of money over the last 10 years. But I've been doing research in Chicago and I've been seeing that people have been flat for the last 10 years. So you're telling me that I've made 3 times my money, 5 times my money, 10 times my money in Florida, but in Chicago, they've been flat? So you have to study the market before you invest in it, because otherwise you're going to be like, oh, shit, Chicago in a skyrise, it's going to make good money. And then all of a sudden you find out, no, it's not. And the rent's not good. And the city's not good. And the city doesn't have enough money to pay its bills. And they're keep on taxing their people and everyone's leaving the city. So without you knowing your market, knowing your neighborhood, getting down there, walking the streets, hearing what's happening, you're going to end up getting yourself in a bad position. And we don't want you to get in a bad position. We're going to get you in a good position where you're going to profit. So I got a question by Jay Stack, says, how to turn a single family into a duplex? You got to be careful about doing that, right? You don't want to just turn a single family into a duplex if you're not zoned to, if it doesn't make sense. You might not even make them good money by doing that. You have to see, is there a valid business reason to change a single family unit into a duplex? So do some research before you do that. And that is not a small task, right? That's a big task. So unless you have a lot of practice in it, be very careful about doing that. Next thing, it could take you, depending on what city you're in, it could take you 6 months to 2 years to do that conversion. Do you have the money to float that deal? So you have to do a lot of research before you take that on, right? And make sure that you have the right construction partner to do it, because again, it could be a big task to take on. Great question, Jay. Carlos says, Pascal, love your videos. Great job, brother. Thanks, Carlos. Gon says, I just found out about some land. All right, answer that one. All right. Kevin says, how much is a mentor? I don't understand. So if you are going to pay for a mentor, it depends like who you're getting. Depends if you're getting like phone calls, text messages, if you're just getting some type of group video thing. It really depends like what is your type of mentorship you're looking to do. I'm thinking about doing like a 1 week long or a 3-day, 4-day long thing in July at my coastal cottages, where it includes the, like an event plus includes stay. Because a lot of people seem to be interested. So if you guys are interested about coming down to Florida in July and doing an event, message me, let me know. Thanks for all the love, guys. All right. Carlos says, good thing is that I have high credit and capital in order to invest. That's really important. Having credit and having capital is important. The more things you have, credit, capital, and tax return, a good tax return, those 3 things are going to make your deals easier and easier. Can you do it with bad credit? Yes. Can you do it with little capital? Yes. Can you do it with a not that great tax return? Yes. But it makes it harder and harder, and the deal you're going to get is not as good. So try to fix all 3 parts. I'm thinking about creating a core financial course that is going to just explain the basics to understand, because a lot of times people make the bad moves and they don't even realize they're making bad moves, I'll give you a real quick story, and then I'm going to get back to your questions. I had a client come in. He's an older guy. He's retired, gets good retirement income. He also owns a house in like Boca Raton. He owns a house in Marco Island. He has 2 other properties. So he has 4 properties total. And he, for fun, buys and sells stocks, and he made like $136,000 in selling stocks. Those are all short-term gains. What short-term gains means is he has on a 35% tax bracket. He owed $45,000 for the $136,000 he made. He didn't realize that. So he ended up, he thought he would only owe like $20,000. So I educated him. I said, no, you're going to owe like $45,000. He's like, oh man, that's a lot more than expected. So I told him, hey, what's going on? You have 4 properties here. You can't be like living on all of them, right? He said, well, actually, I'm renting those 2 of them out, and I don't want to show the income because I'm going to owe more taxes. And I said, well, that's not necessarily true. Just because you're collecting more money does not mean you're going to owe more taxes. So I said, okay, how much are you making on this property? He's like $24,000. I said, how much are you making on this property? He's like, I'm only renting it for 2 months. I'm bringing in $12,000 just to cover my nut. So I said, okay, fine. $24,000, your expenses are $14,000. You're netting about $10,000. Now let's depreciate the asset. Now you got another negative $14,000. It's a paper loss. So it now brings down this income, shows a little bit of loss. This other property, $12,000 income minus association dues, minus taxes, minus insurance, minus all these expenses. Now you're at a loss. Plus we're going to depreciate the property. And now you got another huge loss, right? So you're probably net loss about like, I think it was like $35,000, which lowered his tax due to $22,000. So then he only owed $22,000. He showed more money and paid less taxes. Okay? So the point is, it's not cut and dry. So it's not cut and dry. That's why you need to tell your accountant everything to run the data. And the accountant needs to be good. He can't just crunch some numbers. Can't be some dude from H&R Block. And it's like, oh, let me just type it in and I got a number. So the number looks like a good refund. So that's the answer. No, it's not the answer. That doesn't mean it's the best decision for you in 2 years. Because in 2 years, you may be like, wow, I hate what I did 2 years ago. What you do 2 years ago is being reflected on you today. The decisions you made yesterday reflect today. So if you want a great tomorrow, today do something. Don't start your diet tomorrow. Start it today. Start it right now. Because the next day, you're going to thank yourself. So make smart decisions. So Jez says, Carlos, if you can get on your parents, if they have good credit card, then you will then automatically have their credit history. That is true, Jess. I wonder where you learned that from. What's up, Abe? Why not in Tampa? Well, the event in July is in Safety Harbor, which is Tampa Bay. So it is still Tampa. And I'm thinking probably the end of July. I haven't picked a date yet, but I'm thinking the end of July was when I would hold the event. Probably be like 4 days and include housing on my Safety Harbor cottages. Teen Ambition says, do you usually file a 15 or 30-year fixed loan? So I normally get a 30-year fixed rate loan because I want to get the lowest payment possible per month. The interest rate savings between a 15-year and 30-year is like negligible. Like it is nothing. So don't be like, oh, I'm going to save 0.5%. 0.5% is nothing. I'm trying to teach you guys to make 25% return. Why are you going to care about 0.5%? Right? If you're making 8% return, who cares what the bank's making? You want to make the cash flow as strong as possible because just in case now you got 10 units and you have 3 or 4 missing empty units, you're not even going to care because your 30-year loan, the payment is so small, you're still cash flowing strong. You could be able, basically, you should be able to about be 50% vacant and still cash flow. So that's why it's the most conservative option. If you decide to pay off the loan faster, you can always send in extra payments. It's not advisable in my opinion. It's not like it was in 1980. 1980 interest rates were 15 to 18% for a home loan. Now they're what? 3 to 6? Still free money. Inflation is like 4. So you don't think about, oh, I got to pay down this loan. You got to think about, let me spend my time to find another deal. Unless you're on here and you're like 65 years old, 70 years old, do not talk to me about paying down your loan. That is really bad because the inflation we're going to go through in the future, the inflation that's going to come, we're probably going to get into a war in the next 2 to 3 years. And then we're going to have hyperinflation again. You're not going to care about your interest rate. Everything is going to go up. The cost of everything is going to go up. So you want to buy hard assets to ride that wave up. You're going to want to be prepared for that. So paying down the loan is not going to prepare you for that. Buying hard assets that go up and everything's going to go up and it's going to cost more. That's what you want to do because the dollar is then going to be worth less and it's going to be easier to pay back the loan. So that's why you want to wait as long as possible to pay back that loan, unless you're 65 or 70 years old. At that point, I'll agree with you. Or unless someone told you got 5 years to live before you die. Then I'll be like, okay, pay off the loan for your family or educate them in real estate so they know how to continue doing what you're doing. All right. Just says, how do you know what class the neighborhood is? How do you know what letter it is in? I don't know what you mean by letter, but one, if you Zillow a property, it'll tell you what the school rating is. If you drive the neighborhood, it'll tell you what it looks like. If you're not close, you can get on Google Maps and just drive with the car and look to the left and the right, and you can see what the properties look like. You can see how close it is to the water or how close it is to the city, how close it is to the fire department or the police department or the school. Some areas, it's a benefit to be close to school. Some areas, it's a negative to be close to the school. It also can depend on how close you are to the school. So do a little bit of research, right? If you're going to be spending $400,000 on something, you should spend a little bit of time looking at it. Just think about it. When you went to buy a car, you probably spent a ton of time to figure out what kind of car you want and what kind of options you want. Spend the same time, and you actually should be spending more time looking at this real estate because it's a $400,000 property you're buying. It's not something you're buying for like, even if it was a $20,000 property, you want to know what you're buying. You have to know what you're getting. All right. Great questions, guys. So Queen says, if it's a good area, like inner city, does rental yield still matter? Yes, it does matter because if it's in a good area and your rental yield, meaning the amount of rent you're bringing in compared to the cost of the property is low, you might be hard for you to cash flow, meaning after the rent you collect to pay your mortgage, taxes, and insurance. There's opportunities, there's chances where you could buy a property that the rent you're collecting is less than less than your mortgage, taxes, and insurance. So it's a negative income. You actually have to pay money every month to cover it. Is there properties like that? Yes. Like, say, New York City, right? If you're in New York City, certain parts of the city, LA, San Francisco, owning property is actually more expensive than renting. So you have to be very careful that if you are super wealthy and you have a crazy amount of money, that might be a good reason to do it, because you're not looking for cash flow because you have enough cash. You're looking for asset appreciation, or a real thing that rich people worry about is not making more money. Their concern is to not lose money. So they want to buy an asset that holds its value when the market tanks or keeps up with inflation. And as long as it keeps up with inflation, if they have, let's just say, $10 million, well, I have $10 million, so I'm going to buy a condo in New York for $1 million, and I don't care how much rent I'm making. Let me just break even, because what I'm really concerned about is making sure my $1 million doesn't lose value. Maybe it goes up $50,000 a year, which is roughly 5%, and I'm beating inflation, and I'm happy doing that. That is the way many wealthy people invest. So study the something I heard this week that was really, really good. And at certain times I hear things and I'm like, wow, that's really good. I need to make sure I digest this. And it was said that the rich should know how to live, how the poor live. The rich should know how the poor live. And the poor should know how the rich invest. Then, that way, if you're rich, you'll know to value what you have and to be considerate of how the poor live. But the rich should also know the way that the poor should know the way the rich think. Because the biggest issue with people that are poor, right? I was poor too. My family was poor too. A lot of my friends that are wealthy now, their families were poor as well. And it was not money. No one gave us money, right? It was not money that was given to us that magically changed our lives. What changed was the way that we thought. And at certain levels, right? At certain levels, you have to change the way you think. And to get to the next level, you have to change the way you think. Who you are today is not going to be who you are at 10 million. Now, who you are today can be that person, but along the way, you have to adapt and grow and change your habits. Simple example. I used to be fat. I used to be overweight. And when I changed the way I thought and made a decision, I'm not going to be overweight anymore. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to change the way I eat, change the way I dress, change the way I act. I first made the mental decision. I won the first time. Then I won the second time when I started applying, acting, and then you finally get the result. That is the same way in investing. First, you make a decision you're gonna change. You're gonna have financial freedom. Then, second, you act. Along the way, you're gonna start doing things, and you're like, I don't know what to do next. That involves you reading books to help you change mentally, to grow and grow and grow, right? So by taking on these books, you're going to digest them. Now, eventually you'll be like, all right, these books are helpful, but I'm still stuck. You end up getting a mentor, right? So I always wanted to learn Wing Chun. Wing Chun is the fighting style from Ip Man. Ip Man is a man, the Grandmaster Ip Man is the one who taught Bruce Lee how to fight. So I always read the book and I always wanted to learn, and I read the book and I saw the moves and so on. So finally I was like, you know what? That's enough. I want to learn. So what do? I pay for private lessons now. I have private lessons once or twice a week, and then I have group lessons once a week. Why? Because I can learn so much. But right now, I had lessons earlier today, and he's like, come to this, and then tweak your arm like this. Don't stop here. At the very end, you tweak your arm. And when you tweaked your arm, what did you do? This contracted. So when you're getting hit, you're not even going to feel it because of that tweak. Now tell me, how are you going to really learn that without a mentor, right? A teacher. You can learn it better in a group setting, and then you can learn even better in one-on-ones. And each one has its own benefit. You're going to learn something from a book. You're going to learn something in a group setting. You're going to learn something on one-on-one. You're going to see maybe in a group setting how someone else did it and get motivated. You're like, oh, they got better. I'm going to get better too. Or, man, I see what they're doing wrong and I'm going to avoid doing that wrong thing. And that's how we're going to end up growing individually, by making those moves, investing in ourselves. Warren Buffett says the best investment you can make is in yourself. So read the books I'm telling you guys, because what that's going to do is change your mind. And it says, so a man think, so the man is. So the way you think is who you become, who you are. So change the way you think and change your life. But to be honest, guys, you're here, which means you're changing the way you're thinking. It means you want to change your life. You want to be around other people that are motivated like yourself. So that right there shows a lot, saying you want to invest in yourselves. And like I said, invite your friends to follow the page. Invite them to change as well and grow. Because the more of you guys that are changing and growing, my back's tight, the more you guys are changing and growing, the more as a group, you're going to grow together. Because either you're going to grow together, you're going to spiral up, or you're going to spiral down. So you don't have to change the people that are in your group or who's in your inner circle, but you might have to help them also grow individually. All right. Let's see here. All right. CJ says, how do you know if a home is zoned for multifamily without paying someone to find out? Normally, in my market, you can go on to Property Appraiser and it'll tell you if it is or isn't. You can then go into the zoning online and know if it is or isn't. Now, if you're planning to start being a real estate investor, you need to start learning how to do this yourself, how to check it. Now, if you don't, sometimes you can go to the city you're in and say, hey, where do I go online? What's the website where I can go to check the zoning to see if it's multi-units? Now here, I'm going to tell you something. Listen to this. They probably don't know. Yes. You go into the property appraiser, they're probably not going to know. Out of the whole building of 50 people, you're probably going to have 5 people that know what they're doing. So you're saying you have to understand that these people work in real estate all the day and see the values keep going up and they're not acting. Why is that? Because they didn't change their mind. They see this stuff going up in value all the time. They're not acting. They haven't renewed their mind. They haven't grown. They didn't get the right mentors. They're not hanging out with the right people. Next point. Most realtors don't own more than 1 property, maybe 2. Very few own more than that. Very few. Very few understand investing. I have a friend right now. He's going to look at commercial real estate. He wants to buy a commercial building because he wants to do a chiropractic office. Every property his realtor takes him to says, wow, this is a great deal. He saw 10 properties. How are all 10 great? Great is a measurement compared to other properties. So all of them cannot be great. My point is this. They have not renewed their mind. They have not learned, so they have not grown. So you can actually do better than them and know more than them. Now, the next point is be prepared that they're going to be mad that you think you know what you're talking about and they know more than you. There's a good chance that you're going to know more than them. So the fact that they don't understand that something's a good deal, or other investors, or not investors, but realtors don't understand it's a good deal, don't worry about them. Check if another investor thinks it's a good deal. And if oh man, that's a good deal, I wish I got that, then you know it's a good deal. That's like a telltale sign. If I have another investor look at it and be like, then I'm like, all right, then it's not that good of a deal. So figure it out. So it says, Mr. Pascal, I have 3 options for investment. A beehive going for $15K in Jamaica, crates of beer going for $15K in Jamaica, chicken farm stock for $30K. I am currently working the cash for them. So I can't tell you which one. What you have to do is figure out what is a return on investment, what is the time allocated to it, right? So do I own a chicken farm, a beer manufacturing, or a beehive? No, I don't. But I can tell you this. I can tell you numbers. And you want to look at the return on investment, the time it's going to take you to run that business. So those 2 factors are going to mean a lot. And then what does the market want? Is everyone getting into beehives where it's going to kill the profit? Is everyone getting into beer? Is everyone getting into chickens? So you have to see that. Normally, when everyone's getting out is the best time for you to get in, because then Everyone's out of the competition, and then you can usually, do better. All right, I got another question. It says the question here is, can you tell me more about leveraging? Yes, the basic concept of leveraging is this, is in the stock market. Yes, in the stock market, if you put in $100, at the end of the year, on average, you will make about $7 more. So you start with 100, it's 107 at the end of the year. That is the average for roughly the last 100 years. Now, in real estate, the average appreciation of a property over the last 100 years, I believe, is about 4%. Okay, you put in $100 into real estate, in a year, it's worth $104, right? So based off those numbers, stock market makes more money, okay? But also, the point of real estate is this, is that normally in real estate, you get 5-to-1 for your money. So if you put down $100, you get $500 worth of real estate. That $500 worth of real estate went up at 4%, which means it went up $20. So at the end of the year, you have $20 more value than you started in the beginning year, which is more than the 7% of the stock market, or the $7 of the stock market. That is the basics of leverage. Now, for the first-time home buyers, it's even better. For the first-time home buyers, it's 3.5%, right? So if you have $100 that you're investing, hypothetically, right, would get you $2,857 worth of real estate. Going up at 4% would lead you to $114 of additional value. Stock market, $100 gives you $7 of value, $7 increase. $100 in real estate for your first-time home buyers, 3.5% down program, gives you $114 increase. It is the easiest time to put down the least amount of money. So do you see now why I'm telling you, get the largest property you can get that is cash flowing positive, that is a conservative, good asset, right? Do you have to be patient for this? Yes. But if you are, you're going to get a big bang for it. That $100, for every $100 you're putting in, you're making $114 of profit. You're more than doubling your money on a conservative asset, as long as you're buying right and you make your money in the buy. So when you're studying your market, you'll find out what's a good deal for the current condition that it's in, right? Now, I can't give you a blanket statement for everyone in here because I got people all over the world watching me. But I can tell you this, if you study your market, you're going to find out what's a good deal and what isn't. Now, I can study the market with you and find you a good deal, but obviously I don't have any time in the day. I barely have enough time to work on the 5 companies that I own. So that's why I'm hosting these events, so you guys can learn together as a group. And that's why I'm thinking about doing the event in July, because then I can do it probably like 10 or 20 people at one time and be able to make it a good value for everybody. That is leveraging. All right, people are laughing on IG. I don't understand why. This is a very old scroll, so I'm guessing maybe that's why. So I got a question here by Luke. Luke says, what are your thoughts on the stock market at the moment? Do you think tech stocks are a buy at the moment, or will the coronavirus still create more fear and loss? So what I think is this. I think that everything is pretty high. Everything. I'm still buying real estate because the real estate I'm buying, that specific property still has room to go up. And even if it goes down, I don't care because I'm going to collect so much in rent. It won't matter to me what the value is. The money I'm collecting is great. So I can wait 5 to 10 years to sell it anyway. So it won't matter if the prices go up and down. But in the stock market, normally you're buying and you don't want to hold it for 5 to 10 years. You're going to be selling it later. Most individuals, right? So this is, I'm going to talk about history now, not talking about my political beliefs. I'm talking about history. Historically speaking, if a president does not get reelected, the market, the economy drops almost immediately after the election. Okay? Now, given this current market and how high it's gone so far, I think even with the president getting reelected, after the election, we're probably going to have a correction after maybe a year and a half. So that is my opinion of what's going to happen in the future based off of history. Brandon says, do you have a daily routine? Have daily routine is very long, so I'm just going to go over my morning routine real quick. I get up. I say, you're going to have a great day today. Affirmation. I pray. I thank God. So appreciation, right? And then I drink a big glass of water. I check my weight. I do my morning meditation. I do my morning brain games, which brain games options are luminosity or elevate. I do use, for my meditation, I use Headspace, right? Helps a lot, to be honest with you. All these things help. I then get up, I stretch. I make sure my body's stretched. The next thing I do is I do my, I try to do some push-ups and crunches, but more importantly, I do my Wing Chun morning exercises to practice. Because again, why do you run scenarios on the real estate market? Because when a deal comes up, you need to be able to just spit out, I'm going to buy it, or no, I don't want it. So when I'm doing my Wing Chun, I'm going to be able to need to my muscle memory to automatically be able to make the proper moves automatically. So if anyone ever struck at me, I would automatically block and not even think about it. So practice. Some of my brain games is addition, simple addition, but they go out slow and eventually it's like a raindrop game and it gets faster and faster. So now I'm like really fast in the morning trying to answer all this simple math. So what does that do? It gets me going. It gets me really going. So in the beginning of the day, I'm up, I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to perform. Why did I start doing this? I started doing this because I used to go, and I still do, I go and work out, and I would stretch and warm up for like 15, 20 minutes before my workout. And that was towards kind of the end of the day. And I finally came to the conclusion is I'm working a full day. I'm doing shit the full day in my life. And I'm not prepared. I'm not warming up. I'm just saying, hey, I'm going to go and do it. Right? That doesn't make any sense. So I said I have to be prepared. So then after I do my Wing Chun, I take my vitamins, I eat my breakfast, I drink my tea, I brush my teeth, and I congratulate myself for doing it. And sometimes I try to take a cold shower, right? That's one of the things I really hate doing, to take the cold shower in the morning, but it really does, get you going. So yeah, that's my morning routine. IG, there's a minute and 20 seconds left. IG, I'm still going to continue the live on my YouTube. So if you guys want to continue learning more, link to my YouTube in the bio. Bring your questions. I'm going to answer them on YouTube. Link to the YouTube channel in the bio. Follow, watch the live. I'm going to continue asking questions. So Raquel asks, what time do I get up? It really matters. Like sometimes like 7, sometimes 8. I don't wake up that early. I function very similar to the way that Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, functions. He doesn't wake up that early. He just gets up in the day and has his normal, smooth waking up process. I try to have a very chill, smooth waking up process where I prime myself, have a breakfast, talk a little bit, don't rush. And then I try to have my first important meeting by 10, 11 o'clock. And then the second half of the day, I don't really try to have very important meetings. Once in a while I do, but like it says, he does it that way. I automatically did it that way. And I was like, well, if Jeff Bezos does it and I seem to do it that way, so I guess I don't need to change. Because a lot of people I know wake up at like 4, 5. And I'm like, what? That's very difficult for me. See you guys on YouTube. So that's the way I do things. And it functions for me. It works for me. And I know some people that work out very early in the day. I normally was working at like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, sometimes at 10 o'clock at night. And it worked for me. So they're like, oh, how do you do that? I'm like, it just works for me. I'm primed. I'm ready to go. I'm lubed up for the day. So it's a lot easier to move, So it's really, it's just really what works. So don't think that just because you are not getting up 5 a.m. in the morning, you don't have a chance of being successful. That's not correct, right? Your success is determined based off of the effort and the energy you are applying. It doesn't matter if you're applying it at 2 a.m. in the morning, but if you're consistently putting in the effort, you're doing one thing right, right? So spiritually up your game, mentally up your game, emotionally up your game, financially up your game, and spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. So the 5 parts. Now, the last part is this. You can do everything awesome, which is what I was doing. Like, I'm not trying to talk like big about myself, but I was doing everything right. But not many people knew who I was or what I could do. So what I decided to do, I said, all right, I'm going to go on IG, I'm going to go on YouTube, and I'm going to give it for free. I'm going to show everybody for free what I know, what I can do. And now that I'm using that as my platform to I'm losing my words right now, basically to communicate with others and to build my network, because your network depends on your growth, your marketing, people talking about you and referring people to you, right? Right now, people are saying, hey, use Pascal for taxes, because I do taxes across the whole country. And I actually have clients internationally. People are saying, oh, you're in Florida. Get home insurance, condo insurance, auto insurance from Pascal. He does that. I do life insurance across the country. So I do all these things for people. I also do consulting for individuals that are looking to buy bigger deals or how to create their entities for their real estate deals. So this giving away for free, building my network, is also very important too. So by you building your network, you'll be able to find more people to not just help you, but also people to use your skills. All right. Raquel says, by what time do you wrap up your day work? Not counting these live sessions. Honestly, I'm always working because I don't see it as work. I really do enjoy real estate investing. I enjoy helping people. So like I was working this morning from the time I woke up after my morning setup. Then I was till about 4. Then I went and did Wing Chun for 2 hours. And then I spent time with my kids, went to the gym. Then I started answering phone questions on my phone, doing more like conversations on the phone with buying different properties or advising different people on what to do next. Because people will call and ask my advice on how to do things. And then from there, then I did this live event. I'm going to be done I'm probably going to spend another 15 minutes with you guys. So I'll be done. What time is it now? It's going to be about, 10:30. Then I'm probably going to spend another hour and a half working on the computer, doing some more taxes, doing some more emails, and then I'll be up again doing it again. So, when you enjoy what you're doing, it's not really work, right? So that's my thing. Like, I just kind of enjoy what I'm doing. Next question from Jay Stacks. What does it mean if there are many homes for sale in one area? If there's many homes for sale, and again, the measurement of many for you compared to what's average is different. So you have to see if the market is considered a buyer's market or a seller's market. So if many homes are for sale, it's called a buyer's market, which means the buyer determines how much to pay. The buyer has more control, right? If it's a seller's market, that means there's very few homes for sale, and the seller can determine who they want to sell to, if you like how much they're going to sell for, and all those different factors, right? So for example, in where I'm at, in Mid-Pinellas, there's like basically no multi-units for sale. I have the only multi-unit for sale in Mid-Pinellas, only duplex. It is a seller's market. When someone calls me and says they want to look at the property, I tell them, first, you need to drive by the neighborhood. Then you need to send me proof of funds. After all of that, then I'll let you come see the property. Why? It's a seller's market. I can tell you what to do and you have to listen to me. Otherwise, I won't show you my property and I'm the only property for sale. So that is a difference. In a buyer's market, there's so many properties for sale. The buyer can say, hey, I want to see this property. I need you to give me this much off, and so on. And if they say, well, no, they're like, all right, well, I have 50 other homes I could buy. I'm going to go tell it to one of these 50 people and someone's going to say yes to me. So that's the difference. And normally when the market goes down, when the market kind of tanks, if there was a correction or a recession, whatever you want to call it, it becomes a buyer's market, so the buyer can get better deals, cheaper prices, better terms, because there's so much for sale. So John Knight says, what is the best book you can recommend for a young investor? One of the best books for a young investor is called The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. If you guys DM me on IG, I will send you a link of all the books that I suggest reading. There's about 5 books you should read. So Brandon Gordon says, what do you personal accounting? So if I need an accountant, I can use you. How do I use you if yes? The answer is yes, I do personal accounting. I own East Lake Insurance and Taxes, and I own Corcus Financial Services. So basically, you can DM me on IG. I'll send you my email, and then you can email me your tax documents or your business documents, and I will do a review of your financials and prepare your taxes. So if you need consulting, we also do consulting services in my office. So normally it's $250 an hour for consulting. So basically whatever you need, we can do. Any type of numbers that need to be ran for any type of business, we can calculate, bring back the data, help make decisions, and all things necessary to make a good decision. Hugo says, do you create LLCs after rehabbing and refinancing and with the tenant in the property? No, normally you make the LLC before you buy anything. You have the LLC created before you buy, or you create it like 2 weeks before you close on the property. So then you tell your accountant, hey, I want to open this new LLC. And then like my company would create the new LLC for you and your partners or your investors. Oscar says, what do you do if you have 100K equity on a property? Would you refinance and get a home equity line of credit and invest in multifamily? So I would first, if you have 100K equity, I would first see, is your first mortgage have a good interest rate? The first thing I would do, say if you have a 5% interest rate or you have PMI, private mortgage insurance, on your property, I would do a refinance of the first mortgage, get a better interest rate, remove PMI, remove all those expenses, and create a lower payment first mortgage, lock that up. Then I would go get a home equity line of credit, not a HELOC, HELOC, not a home equity loan, because a home equity loan has a higher payment amount, than a home equity line of credit, and normally has a higher interest rate as well. Now, some people would say, well, you're floating your interest rate, and what if interest rates spike up? Yes, it could spike up, but I think we have more of a problem with interest staying this low, because if economy goes bad in a year or two, when I think interest rates going to drop. So if it does go up, it'll go up temporarily, and then it's going to come back down. That's my opinion, but I can't see in the future, right? So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen in the future with interest rates. But again, coronavirus can change things. A war can change things. A lot of things can come into play and change, right? So Carlos has a question. What would you do if you have 100K equity on a property? Would you refinance? Okay, Carlos and Oscar have the same question. Would I invest in multifamily? The answer is yes. I always invest in multifamily. I'm always buying. I got like 4 or 5 deals I'm looking at right now that I'm trying to make the numbers work. Guys, everyone that's watching, thank you for watching and keeping up with me. Please thumbs up if you like all the content I've been providing today. I appreciate all the love. All right. What other questions do you guys have for me today? So right now I'm looking at one deal, and one of the deals was a 9 unit property close to the water, and it was about $200, almost $200 a square foot for this property. And a couple of the investors that I'm talking to, they want to work with me and buy some deals with me. They're like, "Well, why aren't you buying this property? It's right by the water. It looks like a great deal. Why aren't you buying it?" And so I basically said, I was like, "Look, when we buy this property, we're gonna have to renovate the roof, the electrical, and the plumbing. Not a big deal, right? We'll do that. But that's going to cost us a lot of money, and the rents that are going to increase aren't going to increase as much as I would like to justify for this cost." Now, again, yes, the market's going to keep going up, but that is a problem. So that's not great. That's like good. It's okay. And I'm hoping the property values keep going up. I'm hoping the rents go up to make more money. You should never hope. You should know. Part two, on this property, I know I could Airbnb it for probably like 3 or 4 months out of the year and make great money. But the other 8 months, the question comes into, can I rent it? Is there a market for short-term rentals for the rest of the period? And the answer is, I don't know. That's another bad answer. So if I basically know the answer is I don't know, if I'm not confident into how successful it can be, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to spend money today for an okay deal. I'm going to wait. Now, I have a lot of money waiting to buy a deal. I have a lot of investors that want to invest with me that have money that want to buy deals. But I'm not going to go and spend someone's money and my own money for an okay deal. I want a great deal. All right. John Knight says, Pascal, I want you as my mentor. Well, guys, I'm mentoring you guys here basically every day. I'm putting out all these videos to teach you guys. That is basically the way I'm mentoring you guys. Otherwise, for you to have a one-on-one mentorship with me, for you to be in like my inner circle, it's a lot of money, right? For not because I want to charge a lot of money, but the point is I have a lot to do, and I have to bring in a certain amount of money to cover all the loans that I have. So for me to take on a mentorship of someone, it's gonna cost money, because if I'm spending time with somebody, I'm giving up time, bringing in money for my family. So one-on-one mentorships are very rare. So, but you have all the videos and you have these live events. That's what these live events are about. So I can teach a lot of people at one time. So Carlos says, thank you, Pascal, for all the tips and highly appreciate it. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the thumbs up as well. There is actually a thumbs up button that you can press. That's going to help with the YouTube videos and with the views. So please do that. And then later, after the video is posted, please leave comments. That's also going to help. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And send it to your friends. Might be cool to be like, hey, look, check out his video. He answered my question. So David says, how would you recommend getting funding on a fix and flip besides private lenders and local banks? If the numbers make sense, would you suggest hard money loans? So yes, hard money loans is the same thing as private lenders, right? Local banks normally don't do fix and flips. So hard money loans and private lenders are basically the same thing. And if you're good at what you do, you have a decent track record, they can require you to put down 10% of the purchase price and 10% of the renovation budget. So if you're looking at $400,000 all in, you would only really need $40,000 down. But this is the thing. The initial cost to repair items are going to be on you. So say you have to pay for the roof to get changed and it's 20 grand. You still have to pay the 20 grand out of your pocket. And then 2 weeks later, they're going to send you the rest of the money back. So you still need more than 10% down. You probably need about 20% of the purchase and repairs to float your project. And the interest rates are usually high. So you have to be ready to be able to do this project fast. Otherwise, any profit you think you're going to make is going to be eaten up in interest. And if you don't time the market properly, you're not going to be able to sell it in time. So you're not going to get to sell it for the price you think you can. right? If you miss the peak season of home buying, there's like a 3-4% difference, 5% difference in the sales price. So make sure that that's why I always suggest multifamily units and living on one side and renting out the others. That's a more conservative way with a more conservative interest rate. Remember, homeowner interest rates are going to be like 3 to 5%. Hard money loans are 10 to 15%. So you can be in a home, live in a fourplex, and slowly upgrade the property over time and not have a lot of pressure for you to learn along the way. But both work. It just depends on your skill set and your connections. Oscar says, can you please explain the cap rate on commercial property? How to increase the value of a commercial property? So basically, there's 1,000 different types of commercial properties, so each one functions differently. But cap rate is basically your net income divided by the cost of the property. That's how you get cap rate. So how do you get a higher cap rate? You basically increase your net income. So you can increase your net income by changing the property, making upgrades to increase the rents. That is usually the most common way. The other way is to figure out ways to reduce expenses. So if you buy a 100-unit apartment building and there's garbage, you can renegotiate your garbage bills, get them to charge you less. Yes, you can do that. Say you have a 100-unit complex and you have cable, and you include cable for all your tenants in the rent. You can renegotiate your cable to reduce that bill as well. So all of that stuff can be renegotiated and changed. So you don't have to be, so you can lower the expenses, which then increases your net income, which increases your cap rate, which then really, if you sell it at the same cap rate, because you make more money, you're going to sell the property for a higher amount of money than what you bought it for. Good question. Luke says, really appreciate your time. Thanks, Luke. Get Water says, would you say buying a home close to the water is a risk now? I'm asking because of global warming. The temperature is predicted to rise at least 6 degrees, and in a result, sea levels will increase. That is, some people think that, right? And it is possible. But at the same time, I've listened to other scientists say that, well, with global warming and more ice melting, normally the water levels will drop, because as ice melts, it actually causes, if ice expands, which causes water to rise. So the expanded ice melting will actually condense things down, will cause water levels to fall. That doesn't change the fact of, increasing hurricanes and different storms and flooding. That's a whole nother argument. So am I concerned? No, that's what we have flood insurance for, right? If you think about global warming, then you're going to think about coronavirus. Then you're going to think about war in China. Then you're going to think about war in Russia. Then Middle Eastern oil prices. Then you're going to worry about everything. Everything in the world you're going to worry about, right? Doesn't matter. You want to win? You make your money in the buy. Game over. Andy Martinez says, amazing, sheesh. We'll log in for next one. Andy, brother, I'm telling you, you need a shovel to pick up all the gold that I'm dropping. A shovel and a barrel. So, not wheelbarrow. Yeah, wheelbarrow. So, Steve Robert says, do you use 15 or 30-year fixed rate mortgages? So, for the 85th time today, 30-year mortgages. The reason is you want the smallest payment possible. That way, you have more cash flow, and in case you lose some tenants, if you have a 4-unit building and you have a 15-year mortgage, all of the money you make is going to go to mortgage, taxes, and insurance and maintenance. If you have a 30-year mortgage, only about, of all the money you bring in from the 4 units, you only need about roughly 60% of that money to cover your mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance. So that means there's cash left over. At the end of the year, you have cash left over. So if people don't pay rent, if you have a vacancy, if you need to fix something, you got more cash to cover it. Now, you don't need to worry about a 30-year mortgage and save interest. The interest rate is very small between the difference. Back in the 80s, it was like 18%. Today, it's like 3 to 6%, right? So it's very small. Don't worry about it. You should not be worrying about paying down your mortgage, right? This whole Dave Ramsey stuff, don't listen to it, right? This is not the way to go. right? The guy was a real estate investor, got a lot of loans and went bankrupt. Okay, sucks for him. Sorry that happened to him. Doesn't mean everyone in the world now has to pay off their mortgage. No, it's not a smart idea. Look at history. Inflation keeps happening. You need to put your money into assets that are going to go up with inflation. And then each year, the loan that you have is going to be worth less because the dollar is worth less. So you're going to be making more money in the future to pay off the past loan. It'll be very easy. I promise you that. It's been historically proven. It says, sorry, the video keeps lagging. Can't catch the answer. It's all good. I'm just teasing you. John Knight says, is house hacking a 4-unit complex a smart move? To rent 3 out and live in 1? Of course, it's a smart move. That's basically what I've been repeating for the last year. That's what you have to do. House hack a 4-unit. And if you're single, if you're single and you're house hacking a 4-unit and you got a 2-bedroom, house hack your 2-bedroom as well. Meaning if all 4 units are 2-bedroom, 1 bath, rent out the other 3 to other families. And then the one you're living in, get a roommate and have them pay you rent too. So, you're doing a major hack, making a lot of money. Maybe house hack 2 of them and Airbnb 1 of them. That's an option. Oscar says, what do you think about strategic partnerships to get into bigger deals you can on your own? So people do strategic partnerships with me. They're either from you, but I want a cut of the company. I want to be a part owner, right? And I'll give them a small ownership percentage for finding them a deal and not giving them any money for it. Sometimes people will find a deal and just say, hey, I want some money for finding a deal. I'll give them some money for finding the deal, and I do it by myself without them as a partner. So in this business, it's great because you have so many options. You can do so many things, strategize for making deals happen and getting into the game. Again, some people have money and don't have time, don't have experience. Some people have experience and don't have money or time. So there's everybody in the game has a value to add. Now, me personally, what's my benefit is that I learned the taxes part. I've learned the money part. I learned the investing part. So I've been constantly been able to do it on my own. Like say you find a 20-unit deal, that's an amazing deal. The bank won't give you a deal, even if you do have credit. You do have a good tax return. You do have the down payment money. Because if you don't have history being able to manage a 20-unit deal, they're going to be like, we're not going to give you this money because you don't even know how to handle the deal. It doesn't matter if you have money. The bank will give a loan for a person that has a resume that shows that they have the experience to do these deals. All right. Oscar says, what do you think about strategic partner? I answered that one. John Knight says, the lady wouldn't want a roommate. Got to keep her happy. Oh, that happens sometimes. But at least she's smart enough to say, let's buy a 4-plex. Because some people tell me, oh, well, my significant other doesn't want us to get into a 4-plex. She wants us to be on our own, in our own house. Well, you need to educate your significant other. They need to be watching these videos as well, learning to understand that, yes, upfront, maybe you need to sacrifice, not have a house to share with everybody else, or not have a house all on your own. Maybe you need to buy in a multi-unit to share the units with other families, right? You're living in your own unit. They're living in their own. Well, it's no different than living in an apartment building. You were living in an apartment building for a while. It's no different now. You just happen to own it. So invest in the front end, or save in the front end, and invest in the front end, save a lot of blah, blah, blah. I can't even think. It's so late. Sorry, guys. All right. Steve says, yeah, I listen to you a lot, and I have been listening to Dave, and you guys both say the opposite. It is really conflicting. It is conflicting because, again, Dave Ramsey over-leveraged when he bought real estate, okay? He over-leveraged when he bought real estate and went bankrupt. And he blamed it on his over-leveraging. Okay, he got a loan on the house and a loan on the cars and a loan on everything, and he had extra leverage, right? When I'm saying don't get a 15-year loan, get a 30-year, is because so then your payment is small. You're not going to feel the pressure of the leverage. It's going to be easier on you. So there's reasons I say do things, and you must do it in the same way I'm telling you to do it. Because if you don't follow, you're gonna slip up. If you don't refinance first to get a smaller interest rate and remove PMI before getting a HELOC after you've been in the home for a year or two, you're gonna slip up, because then it's gonna be harder for you to go do your next deal. So I'm giving you specific steps along the way, so nothing ever gets you never get stuck. You never trip yourself up. John says, it took a little convincing, but she's finally on board. Sometimes it does, because again, most of the stuff you're hearing, most of the stuff I was hearing, was stuff that our families were telling us, and those were not the things that will make you wealthy. They're the things that will make you middle class and just barely break by, or make you poor and keep you poor. So you got to kind of think, all right, are they telling me to be middle class? Is this the advice of being middle class and being safe? Is this the advice of being poor and being the same? Oh, don't show your income and write off as much as you can so you can get a big tax refund. Okay, yeah, you're going to get a big tax refund, and then you're going to blow it on something dumb, and then not have something to invest in, and not have a good tax return to get more loans. So it's, you have to think, is this going to take me where I need to go? Not what I right now want. All right, guys, a couple more questions before I wrap up. About 3 more minutes. Oscar says, would you fix a home into multiple rooms, even at the beginning? Did you always do everything with permits? So the thing is, if you have a home with multiple rooms, you don't really need permits for that, because you're allowed to rent out rooms usually, right? If you're trying to split a home up and make it multiple units, yes, you need permits. And if you're going to do that, you better make sure you're doing it right. With or without permits, you better make sure you're doing it right, because you don't want to screw up. So David says, when it is difficult to house hack in a hot market like the Bay Area, do you think fix and flipping is a better option? Even fix and flips are very hard to do in the Bay Area. I think you're more likely to be able to do a house hack, or house hack's probably going to be a lot easier, especially if you try to Airbnb it. If you rent something out and then you make it look really nice and then Airbnb it, you should be able to double your money. You're renting it for $2,000. You can, by the time you're Airbnb-ing and fees are done, you're going to probably make it like $4,000. So you're going to pocket $2,000 a month. So Hugo says, do your parents support you when you decide to go into real estate? No. Next question. My mom kind of did. She was scared, but she kind of did. My dad, no, didn't. It's a funny story. I'm going to leave you with the story and then wish you guys a good night. So my dad kept telling me I couldn't do it. It couldn't happen. It couldn't this. So we're outside in the back by the pool. It was him, my mom, and his friend. And he's like, oh, I said, you know what? I want to try to get 23 units by 23, right? You guys know this. So you guys know I did that. But back then, it was before I did it. I was telling my dad, I want to do 23 units by the time I was 23. And my dad's like, you're never going to do it. You can't do it. You're crazy, blah, 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 blah. I said, so back then I was 20. I was 20, I think, right? And he told me I couldn't do that, right? I said, so I'm 20 years old, and he didn't know all the real estate that I owned. I said, I own 11 right now at 20 years old. I'm definitely going to own 23 units by the time I was 23. And I did it. So just because your family doesn't believe what's possible, I'm not saying they don't believe in you. They don't believe what's possible. Doesn't mean you can't educate yourself and understand what is possible. Because one of the things you can come to is to say, look, if that other person did it, why can't I do it? Right? There's no reason you can't do it. So educate yourself. But you need to make the moves. You can't say, I want to do this thing that they're doing, and then you get the advice, and then you're like, well, I don't want to act on their advice. Then how are you going to get the results? Your results come from acting. All right. Do you recommend getting started in a real estate career in California? Yes, there's no problem with that. Oscar, great knowledge. Thank you. You're welcome, Oscar. Thank you. Thank you guys for the thumbs up and all the love. I appreciate that. Steve Boyna says, hey, Pascal, are interest rates now on a 30-year? I think you mean, what are the interest rates now on a 30-year? Depends on you. It's like 3.75, as high as like 6. And anything in between there is fine, as long as you're buying a great deal. Interest rate doesn't matter. What are they? I let you know. So guys, I go live on YouTube and IG every Wednesday night and every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Watch all my videos on YouTube and like and comment, subscribe, send links to your friends to follow. I appreciate all the love. I want to do something special when I hit 1,000 followers on YouTube. So keep pushing, and I appreciate all the love for that. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. You guys all have a blessed night. God bless you guys. Stay safe and be focused, because whatever you put your mind on, it's going to expand. So if you keep on putting your mind on how you're going to get better, how you're going to learn, and eventually you're going to buy a piece of real estate, you'll get there. But don't put your mind on negative things, and don't listen to negative people. Put yourself around good people, and good things will happen. Be blessed. Good night.